any act that is against government installations is an act of terrorism. So if people behave in that manner and there is enough evidence that you have committed that kind of crime, you'd be charged without any favor. As long as there's evidence, that's what we go by.
Terrorism charges for lighting fires in protest. That is the legal line Kenya's top prosecutor Renson Ingonga is now drawing. As outrage swells across the nation, he isn't backing down. Instead, he is doubling down. According to him, the law is crystal clear, and it is not politics, it is prosecution. But is this the beginning of judicial tyranny, or the rule of law reasserting itself? Let's dive straight into the story reshaping Kenya's justice system, the very right to protest.
The Law Society does not get involved in the decision-making process. We have continued to raise concern if you look at even the definition under the Terrorism Act, which provides the ambits in which you can charge persons for terrorism. Because what we are seeing is weaponization of the law in attempts to ensure that people are held on higher bail and bond terms, because knowing full well that a charge under terrorism is a serious offense.
The backdrop: weeks of anti-government protests, some peaceful, others chaotic. In their wake, burnt buildings, damaged roads, torched courtrooms, and now terrorism charges.
Burning supermarkets, looting people's businesses. All those people are properly defined in the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Yeah, she is actually on the wrong side of history. She needs to quickly salvage her reputation by siding with criminals and terrorists and trying to defend them.
When news broke that protesters were being charged under Kenya's Prevention of Terrorism Act, many saw it as an overreach, a government trying to criminalize dissent. But today, Thursday, July 24th, Director of Public Prosecution Renson Ingonga faced the cameras and finally responded. His message: the charges are not political, they are procedural. It was a strong, deliberate phrase, clearly targeting critics who claim the executive is pulling the strings. Ingonga insisted that every prosecution comes from evidence, not influence. He stated, quote, "When the DPP makes a decision, it is not from the executive. We make our own decisions based on the law and evidence available." But is that really how the law is being applied?
The gap that we saw was that what then made a prosecutor make that decision to charge, what guided him? And we found that there was no policy. And so we sought to facilitate and support the office of the ODPP so that it can come up with those guidelines that would then guide each and every individual prosecutor when he's making the decision to charge.
According to Ingonga, the 2014 Prevention of Terrorism Act is not just about bombs and guns. His exact words, quote, "Terrorism is not only when you bomb using bombs. Torching a government building, that is terrorism. Vandalizing public infrastructure, still terrorism. No grenade needed, just a matchstick and motive."
Many youths are really being oppressed, and them speaking out does not mean that they are against the government. Them speaking out is the act of being a citizen, speaking out whatever we are feeling, actually. It's not out of context.
This is the only place we feel secure as citizens of this country. And I'm kindly making an application to admit these persons before you on personal bonds, so that they can rejoin their parents, they can also participate in nation building.
When you look at the offense, the two offenses, count 1 and count 2, both counts are misdemeanor. Considering what has happened to the late teacher Albert Ojwang, the accused person will not be safe in police custody.
It is a controversial interpretation, especially since terrorism charges carry far heavier consequences, including long pre-trial detentions, no bail, and severe sentences. And Ingonga isn't bluffing. He cited past cases in northeastern Kenya where similar charges were applied for vandalism. Even Chief Justice Koome seems to agree, at least partly. She recently condemned the torching of the Kikuyu law courts during the unrest, calling it an affront to justice. Ingonga echoed her sentiments, saying those acts squarely fall under terrorism as defined in law.
We have our information in the court tracking system, our CTS, because we adopted technology. If they were destroying this place to destroy files and erase evidence, they did not succeed in doing that. I believe the majority of Kenyans who came out to demonstrate, to assemble, to peacefully present their petitions, and also to commemorate the loved ones who are lost or the loved ones who were hurt in 2024, came out in good faith.
It raises a deeper question. Where is the line between criminal protest and domestic terrorism, and who draws it? To those questioning the legal basis, Ingonga pointed to the courts themselves. All our charge sheets have been admitted, he said. We've never had any that were defective. And technically, he is right. Every case brought to court has so far passed legal muster, but legal doesn't always mean legitimate.
They are defined to be terrorists because they have committed acts of terror. And if we find them attempt to do so, even in this city, we are going to charge them for what it is. Those are terrorists that must have their day in court, and they must not get the assistance of any civilized person, let alone the Law Society of Kenya.
Rights group argue the law is being stretched to suppress civic action, something more dangerous than vandalism itself. So, while the DPP insists that all standards have been met, critics ask, whose standards?
Tulikuwa kule kotini kwa mtoto anaitwa Diang'ui. Akatokelezea hiyo mambo haijaisha, sababu hatujui alitokelezeaje ile siku mkuu wa polisi, mkuu wa DCI ameambiwa aje kotini kutoa maneno. Na kesi zile zingine zote, ile siku wamesukumwa kuja kotini, ndio watoto wanatokelezea, wengine wakiwa wamefariki, ni mili inapatikana, wengine wakiwa hai.
This isn't just a courtroom battle, it's a political earthquake. Protesters are being labeled potential terrorists. Organizers fear criminalization. Civil society is on edge, and the government silent. If touching property is now terror, will blocking roads be next, or shouting slogans, or simply showing up? The bar for terrorism, it seems, is being lowered, and the slope is steep. Let's not mistake the moment. What is happening isn't about law and order alone. It's about the boundaries of democratic dissent in Kenya. If justice becomes a tool of fear, then resistance becomes inevitable. So, yes, Renson Ingonga says, quote, "We don't work for the executive, but the real question is, are we criminalizing protest or defining patriotism?" For Maisha TV, I'm William Juma.